Hello, Laziali all over the world. Welcome to Lazio Lounge, and this is probably your best podcast of the season, right? It's Lazio Lounge season review. We ask you to vote your favorite player, your favorite match, your favorite signing, and this is going to be interesting, and obviously the flop of the season. So I think it's going to be a funny episode, even though we have Alistair McKenzie with us, but I'm going to try to make it funny as well. So, hello, Alistair, how are you?
I'm very well, thanks. I'm enjoying the arrival. I'm enjoying the end of the club football season, to be honest. I think we probably should say, we're going to talk about the awards, aren't we? And we're going to leave anything about Maurizio Sarri or managers, leave that to the end, because God knows. Remember the last podcast we spent about 5 minutes talking about even Juric, and then within 10 minutes of finishing, he was appointed to Torino. So.
Yeah, we're going to do another podcast on transfer market madness. So this is only season review. We have plenty of time. Summer still have to start before we talk about all the madness of transfer market, especially when it's Lazio related. You know that it's funny. Just to give you one, pretty much all Lazio players have been sold to Inter, as Inzaghi has moved to Inter. Milinkovic Savic has to leave. Luis Alberto is already in Milan. Radu will sign a new contract with Inter. So, guys, just be prepared. It's Lazio Inter next season. Everybody wants to go to Simone Inzaghi new team. So, just be prepared. Today, it's only Lazio Lounge season review. And I think let's start from the signing of the season. But first, Alistair, we have to point something. We didn't put Andreas Pereira because Lazio didn't sign Andrea Pereira. He's on loan. So it wasn't worthy mentioning him in the podcast. So the four options, and we have to add only four options. So the four options are Mohamed Fares, Akpa Pro, Escalante, and Pepe Reina. Who did you vote, Alistair?
What a collection. It was a bit depressing putting these polls together. I mean, it was quite easy, to be honest, sometimes to come up with a short list. But who did I vote for? I voted for Pepe Reina, who I've been complaining about a fair bit towards the end of the season, but still has made a much bigger impact than pretty much anyone else in terms of he's played games regularly.
We have to point out that the biggest signing of the season didn't make it in the shortlist without Murici. So that tells you a lot, right?
Yeah, and I think the shortlist itself says a lot about how bad another summer transfer window has been, and the fact that, well, who did you vote for first?
Unfortunately, I vote for Pepe Reina, but we have to point out that Akpro, who at the beginning nobody cared, made it to the shortlist. And, he had, a huge impact. He scored in a Champions League match. He played a lot of minutes. I think more than Gonzalo Escalante. And in fact, he's second in this list, right? So that's a huge result. And again, this shows us, Alistair, that Iglitare is very good when he spent little or no money at all than when he has to spend 20 million euros, right?
Yeah, I think that a lot of credit is due to Akpakpo, and actually he would have been probably higher up in the list if he'd had a better second half of the season, because he started very well, didn't he? But he kind of drifted out of the team, didn't feature as much in the second half of the season. But just to run through it, Pepe Reina has won the poll 53%, then Akpro with 21, then Escalante with 19, and then Fares with 7. And the amazing thing here is it's almost like, like you say, anyone who there's been money spent on doesn't feature. Murici hasn't even made the shortlist. Fares is the least popular option of all of these, and the rest are free transfers. And they're the ones who are getting, 93% of the vote.
Yeah, I want to know who voted Fares, by the way. Write it in the comments because I want to know why you did it.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a particularly it's something we want to celebrate, isn't it? Signing of the season, doing our awards show, but it doesn't really feel like something to celebrate this year because
Definitely not.
it's not just been a terrible transfer window, but it's been another terrible transfer window because it's not always been very easy. I mean, the last couple of years, at least with Lazio and Acerbi, it's been very easy to say whose signing of the season is. This time we've not had a Lazio and Acerbi. Pepe Reina is in there because he's been the number one for most of the season. He has put in some decent performances. Let's not forget that. I mean, we disagreed with Inzaghi playing him as the number one. We wanted Strakosha back in the team, but at the age of 38, I think it is impressive the impact that Reina's made and the consistency and ability he's had to play at this level still at that age. But I just still think he should have always been a number two, not a number one.
Definitely. I totally agree with you, which is a concern. So, but yeah, I have to agree. And again, this summer is going to be fundamental for Lazio to get the right signing because after 2 years in a row where we have to say the summer transfer has been a completely disaster, if you want to keep up with the other teams, you have to nail all the signing this summer. There's nothing else to do. No matter who's going to be the new manager, you have to get everything right. Now, the second.
Sorry.
Yeah, go on.
I was just going to say before we move on, just a quick word on Escalante because we'll come back to Paris. But he's not really set the world on fire this season, but he's also not really done anything wrong either. I just wanted to ask you what your thoughts are on him because so much talk has been about finding a Lucas Leiva successor. I know that's not necessarily his natural role, but he has been used there quite a lot. I mean, what are your thoughts on his debut season? Well, remember, it's his first year.
Yeah, what I would say about Escalante is I'm not sure we needed him. I mean, with Danilo Cataldi coming out probably his best season, why do we sign Gonzalo Escalante? That was my first big question mark. He had experience playing with Catania, so he should be used to Italian football. And as you said, he didn't do nothing special, but nothing particularly wrong. I'm a little bit concerned about his injury because he's been out a lot of matches. I thought he started well the season and a little bit like Akpa Pro, he didn't finish that well as well. In fact, Danilo Cataldi started playing more at the end of the season. So, the fact that he's made the top 4 list tells you how bad the summer has been, the summer transfer has been, right?
Yeah, and I just did some quick maths there, and he's made 30 appearances, which is a decent number, but just over 1,000 minutes, which means he's averaged little over 33 minutes per game, which tells you a lot. So I do wonder if he's got more to offer because, especially playing in that role in the heart of the midfield, you kind of need that regularity to understand your team, understand the system and so on. But obviously now everything's completely torn up again. It depends on the next coach what that role is going to look like. So we'll see. But anyway, we can move on.
Yep. So the second poll was match of the season. We had obviously 4 options. Lazio Roma 3-0, Lazio Borussia Dortmund 3-1, Atalanta Lazio 1-3, Torino Lazio 3-4. So I think we had to take off some couple of good matches like Lazio Milan, for example, that didn't make it to the list. As usual, I think every season Lazio plays 4, 5, 6 very good matches, and unfortunately 2 or 3 terrible matches. So honestly, I voted for Lazio Borussia Dortmund because I thought that was the peak of the season, right? Beating 3-1, one of the biggest team in Europe. I thought it was the best performance of the season against one of the best team Lazio played against. So I thought that was the best match of the season.
Yeah, you know what? I've almost kind of changed my mind about this to be on your side. I automatically picked beating Roma 3-0 because it's probably the game that's made me happiest this season, and certainly that'll be what a lot of fans think about it. And so as a result, it's won the poll 58%. But on the other hand, we have beaten Roma quite recently. It's not a vintage Roma team, this one. And yeah, I think the Dortmund game, it was more of a historic moment, wasn't it? Because it's the first game back after 13 years away from the Champions League group stages against the best team in the group, and to come away to perform as well as Lazio did and get the result that they did. I think just the unexpected nature of it made it a really, really special night. And so I've changed my mind. I'm with you now. I think for me that probably was the match of the season because of the context around it.
I was undecided between this match and Atalanta Lazio because, Roma is not a big team anymore. They finished for the second time below us, didn't make it in the Champions League for the third year in a row, and so on. Atalanta, they finish above us again in the Champions League. They are a very good team, and we struggle against them, right? In the last couple of years, we lost often against them. So beating them like this at home, that was another great performance. So I thought, and I can understand Torino Lazio, you're down the 90 minutes and then you win. That's terrific. But I thought Atalanta Lazio and Lazio Dortmund would have been the top two. Instead, I'm surprised that only 5% voted for that match. And again, without probably the best match of the season in Serie A for Lazio, right?
Yeah, no, it's a good point. I think you're right. I think you're probably right.
I'm always right.
it's a place that it's a game Lazio struggled in recent years, like you say, and at the time it was a massively important game in terms of the hopes of getting near the top four and staying in that race. And it is kind of frustrating in a way. Like you say, there have been a lot of big performances this season. I mean, we've come away from this season generally thinking it's been a bit of a disappointment, a bit of a damp squib, finishing sixth and not really near the Champions League, not really near seventh, but just kind of comfortably sixth. And then you look through the list of results and you realise where they've lost it. It's not these matches, it's the other ones. I mean, we didn't run a poll saying worst match of the season, but that would have been a competitive one if we had.
Definitely.
That's where it all went wrong this season. So it's been an odd one where there have been a lot of, beating Milan 3-0, like you said, doesn't even feature here. Beating Zenit 3-1 doesn't feature here. Getting that last-minute equaliser against Juventus doesn't feature, and that was an amazing moment. So beating Napoli at home, there's been a lot of big games that we're not even going to talk about here. So, yeah, strange season.
Yeah, and how would you react if last year I would tell you, Lazio will beat Borussia Dortmund 3-1 and Akpa Pro will score the third goal?
Well, I mean, you were so stunned by it that you went and bought the shirt, didn't you?
Absolutely. And how would you react if I told you last year that the only goal in the season in Serie A of Murici would be Atalanta Lazio 3-1?
Yeah, exactly. It's been it's one of these things that I don't know about you, but now that the club season is over and we're all kind of relaxing a bit, well, trying to relax, managerial stuff is keeping us quite tense, but now that we're kind of looking back over it, it's kind of like when you're in that hurricane, when you're in that whirlwind, you can't get an outside perspective, and all of a sudden now I'm kind of looking at it thinking, what the hell happened? That was just such a weird season. But yeah, anyway, it's nice that things like the Caicedo, Zona Caicedo has continued again this year, probably even more so this year than before. So yeah, it's nice that at least we have these memories from the season that otherwise we're not going to look back on with any particular fondness, I'd say.
Yeah, before moving to flop of the season, I would just like to tell everybody that Murici scored 4 goals against San Marino. So he's coming back, guys.
Good San Marino side that as well.
Yeah. Champions League level, definitely.
Scored their first away goal in 4 years in that game.
but you know what? If Bernardeschi scored 1 goal against San Marino and started to complain about Andrea Pirlo, then, Murici scored 4 goals and said, no, I'm saying to Lazio. So,
I mean, Italy just plays San Marino and Belotti scores, and immediately you get people say, oh, Belotti needs to be starting ahead of Ciro for Italy. Look at him, he's scoring against San Marino. So.
Yeah, yeah. But if Murici scored 4 goals, it's San Marino, it's easy. I don't get these things. This
I
thing,
felt
right?
bad for him. I felt bad for him because a lot of the reaction, including from me, was the fact that San Marino had scored a goal because they've scored two in 4 years now. So it's whenever they score a goal, it's this amazing moment.
Yeah, but
And
he's not a
and,
goalkeeper.
and nobody even mentioned it. Like everybody's just talking about San Marino's goal in this 4-1 win where Murici has scored all four, and I thought that in a kind of cruel way kind of sums up his season really.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
anyway, flop of the season.
Yeah, we have 4 candidates. It's funny that one that we put in the signing of the season is also in the flop of the season, right? Mohamed
Yeah.
Fares. Wow, what a disaster. So we had Vedat Murici, Mohamed Fares, Matteo Musacchio, and Wesley Hood. I think it's unfair to put Musacchio there because he hardly played. So how can you say that he was a flop?
Well, 9% of people did think he was the flop of the season, which makes him third. Very, very little surprise that Murici has run away with this 77%. I'm actually a bit surprised it's not higher than that because some other polls have been. Faris 11%, which means that more people have voted for Faris as flop of the season than of signing of the season, which makes sense. And then Wesley Hurt 3.5%, so he's been
Yeah, so
left over.
surprise about Wesley Hood, right? Only 3%. I was expecting more.
Well, I think, to be honest, again, didn't feature much in the latter stages of the season, but he did okay. You know, in the Champions League group stages, for example, when Inzaghi was using him as his first choice kind of centre back and pushing Acerbi out to the left, he did all right. I mean, he's always one of these guys you're never going to properly trust. We talked a lot about his lunging slide tackles, which are
Yep.
amazing to watch, but also completely terrifying. But he has not been as bad as I think people feared he would be. And I think still there's a certain sense that his reputation of being a walking disaster has been kind of continued from his last time here or continued from his previous spells, and it's not actually been so true. I don't think he's made too many really, really bad mistakes this time.
I would say that till December, till the Coppa Italia match against Atalanta, he was playing very well. After that, things changes, and when you make a mistake in Rome, it's very hard to recover. Inzaghi didn't give him a chance anymore, so I thought the first part of the season was quite good.
Yeah, that was the moment, wasn't it? And I remember
Yeah,
saying at the time, that was that was the gamble we took. That was when we were looking for a cheap defender to come in and bolster the numbers. That's the sacrifice you have to make. You always have to. If you're going to get a deal like that, you have to be able to take the flip side of it, which is that will happen at some point, and that did happen. Just like we said, he had a disaster that night, but he also did have other good games as well. People won't remember them so much as the other ones, but. Yeah, and Musacchio, you're right, he's barely featured, but I think people are perhaps just more disappointed with that because when he came in, it was at a time that Lazio needed someone with that experience and a bit more established and who could just come in and do the job and have the Serie A experience and so on and help out maybe in the smaller against smaller opponents. And Musacchio kind of comes in, plays a left back against Bayern Munich and makes a terrible mistake, and we basically never see him again. So I think perhaps that's more because there's just a disappointment that he never really got a chance as much as anything else.
yeah, I don't know. We said it that Inzaghi made a lot of weird decision, and I think Musacchio paid the highest price of this strange decision, right?
Yeah, possibly. Especially because there were times at which we were doing all sorts of things. Marisic being transformed to a right back is probably the biggest. That's the biggest example of how little faith Inzaghi had in Musacchio, because Musacchio was basically signed to be a right back in that
Yeah.
back three, and instead of using him, we went for Marisic, who we'll get on to, but did, to be fair, do a good job there.
Yeah,
Paris, what do you think?
yeah, but you sign a player in January, and instead of playing him or Patrick, you move Maruzic back. So that tells you there's something wrong there. Definitely.
Yeah, yeah. Let's move on to Paris. Uh, the curse of the left wing back, Vittorio, it continues.
Yep,
He's been a bit of a disappointment, to say the least. We hoped for more from him. And he had the latest in a long line of Lukaku's and Dermizzi's and Johnny's who have failed to usurp Senad Lulic. I'm starting to wonder, has Senad Lulic kind of cast some curse? Has he been to
definitely.
done some kind of ritual where he's cast a curse over the Lazio left wing back spot until he leaves?
Definitely, must be that. To be honest, I was really confident when Lazio signed Fares because I thought he's playing in Serie A. He had been playing 3-5-2 for 3 years, so he should have been ready for Lazio, right? He should have been like Lazzari, ready to start. And instead, he struggled since the beginning. And then you see a little bit of improvement. Then he got injured. He was coming out of injury, so that definitely didn't help. But yeah, I thought, when Lazio signed him this summer, I thought, okay, this is a good signing. He's gonna work really fine for Lazio. So I'm really disappointed. I believe injury didn't help him. He never find the right form. So yeah, I think he's staying this year definitely. But he has to prove that last year was a coincidence. He's not that type of player.
Yeah, I think the one thing he's got working to his advantage is actually the change of coach. He's one of the players who might benefit here because he's going to get a second chance at it. And what we've seen in the past is that Inzaghi has given these guys an opportunity, Lukaku and Johnny and Demisi and so on, and then once they've failed to impress, he's got rid of them. And it's not just the left wing backs, but Dennis Pavlov, Alan Berisha. Signings Lazio made, and he makes a decision on them after 1 year, and they're off, and we never see them again. Paris, if Inzaghi had stayed, may well have fallen down the same route. Who knows? But now, new coach coming in, obviously depends a bit on what style they play, what formation they play, and all these things. But he's going to have an opportunity to convince someone, and I think that's only right. I do think generally players deserve the second season, but we have a right to expect more from him because of what we've seen from him before in Serie A. So I just hope that his crossing gets better for one, and his all-round game, to be honest, he's just been too inconsistent. There was the overhead kick assist though. That was a nice moment.
The only one of the season, right?
Yeah, which was an absolutely bizarre way of getting it.
Definitely, surprising. We move on to the next poll: most improved player.
I haven't talked about Murici yet.
We talk ages about Murici. Do you want to?
You have to at least acknowledge him. Go on.
Okay. Well, we said we didn't mention it in the best signing of the season, but yeah. Again, I thought Murici didn't have that many opportunity. Again, like Musacchio, Inzaghi stuck with the same players, and I think a player coming from abroad, from a very different type of football, who comes injured, then get COVID-19, etc. It's not easy to adapt to a different type of football, and I think he started playing from the first minute, just in the last couple of matches, which was too late, right? So again, I blame Inzaghi a lot on this, to be honest.
Yeah, it's tough. Again, I thought it'd be interesting to have a look at the minutes per game thing because 34 appearances and 2 goals sounds dreadful, and it isn't good. Let's be honest, but that works out at 34 minutes a game. So he's not, like you say, he didn't really get much of an opportunity to really get stuck in and work out his role in the team until right at the end when he would have been low in confidence. A lot of his teammates as well as fans will have kind of made up their mind about it. I still just don't think he has the quality to be playing for Lazio. I just haven't seen it. I mean, this is the thing, is that we've seen flashes of how he can be useful and how he can make the most of his physicality and link up with the team, but I just don't think he's going to score many goals. So if you're going to have him in the team, it's not really as a player you spend 20 million. I think if you're spending that much as Lazio, you want to have someone who's going to bring you more quality. And think we've seen enough of him now, I would say, to know that he's not really got that technical quality. Is that too harsh?
I think so. I think, remember he scored 4 goals against San Marino. Eh? He proved his talent. So uh, the other point is, if they don't put the ball in the air in the box, then it's going to be hard for him to score. He's not Ciro Immobile. He's a different type of player. We just mentioned Fares that doesn't make cross. So, he needs, like Ciro Immobile needs Luis Alberto, I think Murici needs two wingers good to put the ball in the box. And Lazio this year didn't have them. So that's, and we always mention 2 goals. Let's not forget that he scored against Atalanta, against Parma in the last second. But they gave the own goal to the goalkeeper. But that was a goal, right, of Murici. So
Yeah, that was probably the best goal.
yeah. So, one cross, one goal. So, that's the thing.
Yeah, but at the end of the season, he missed an absolute sitter with a header. So I can't remember which game that was now, but I just remember the disbelieving about it. Yeah, I take your point. I think that, like Paris, he there's no point in getting rid of him now. We may as well give him another shot under a new coach who might be able to use him better, who might restore his confidence, who might find a way of getting the most out of him. So if you're going to invest that much money in him, I mean, would you take, for example, there's been rumours of offers from Gladbach, from Fenerbahce, was it? From a few quite high-profile teams. I'm wondering, have they been watching this guy? But would you take offers if they come in now? Because they would be presumably like less than half what we paid for them.
Well, that's the biggest problem. And the second one, I think it depends a lot on the manager who comes. If you say, yeah, I want Murici, or no, I don't need him. That's the biggest difference, I think. And that's going to be key for not only Murici, but for all the players. You change manager, and he has a different point of view. For example, I don't think Patrick will ever play anymore for Lazio now that Inzaghi has left. So
yeah, Caicedo as well. I don't know what it means for Caicedo.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's true. It's true. I wrote a piece by Inzaghi after he went into, and that's one of the things talked about was the fact that he has this loyalty with his players, which goes both ways. Where he's managed to turn these random players like Caicedo and Patrick into useful squad players, but he's also given up on others like Vavros, Berishas, and so on. So
Pereira.
it's going to be interesting. Yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see. Well, there's going to be so much to talk about once we have a new coach in. Anyway,
Definitely.
we can move on.
Player of the season. Now here we have 4 candidates, and I skipped. Most improved player. Yeah, well, it's useless, right? We had only 2 choices. This is so bad, so bad. We had Manuel Lazzari or Adam Marusic. I mean, this. I wanted to put Stefan Radu, but you didn't allow me. So,
I don't think he's improved much.
I thought he did. Definitely.
I mean, this is the thing, though. If it's getting around to conversations like that, then I just thought, right, we may as well put down the only 2 guys we know have actually improved a lot this season. So, and these 2 guys have both been brilliant. Adam Maricic has smashed it, 81%. That is the highest proportion of any vote. Obviously, there's only 2 options, which helps, and then Lazzari 20. So, but yeah, Maricic, really good season, Vittorio.
Yeah, not only he played central defender, which was completely new. He played right, left. I don't know. He could have played everywhere, and he worked in every position. I think finally season without injury, and we finally saw the real Adam Marusic. I thought that was the biggest difference compared to the past.
I just feel like he's a lot more confident now. He's got a lot more confidence with his role in this team. And looking back, I mean, it's hard to look back this far now, but first game of the season, do you remember?
Nope.
Incredible performance against Cagliari. We were talking about, have we found the Lulic successor here? Because playing as left wing back, he was man of the match. I can't remember if he got 1 or 2 assists. He was definitely involved in both of the goals. And yeah, like you say, for a while he was the nailed-on left wing back. Then Lazio goes out of the team, he's a right wing back, and then he finishes the season playing consistently as a centre back, and which we weren't happy about to begin with. But he
No.
actually has shown that he can play there and do a good job there, which is, I think, as long as he doesn't go to Inter, because he's also one of these players, like you're saying, that everyone says is signed for Inter now. But I think that's almost one of Inzaghi's best parting gifts to Lazio, is the fact that he's managed to yet again transform a player into a new role, and that gives us an extra option.
Yeah, I'm not happy that he put him central defender. I thought it was more useful as a left winger. So, but yeah, I think definitely Marusic is the most improved player of the season. So, but even Lazzari started really well the season. Let's not forget the first derby. He was terrific there, and
So good.
I mean, I still remember a lot of our listeners say, "Yeah, Lazzari is useless. He's terrible. He's not a Lazio level," and he proved everybody wrong. And he would have been in the national team if he hadn't personal issues. And I thought he deserved it, definitely.
Yeah, I think that he's a great example actually of why players always deserve second seasons. His first season wasn't bad. Don't get me wrong. I think he was very impressive in his first season and brought a great balance to that team. But this season has been more what we expected to see immediately, I would say, where he's really known how to make the most of his pace as a counter-attacking weapon. He's been incredible at times. I mean, the way he roasted Roger Ibanez in that derby was just amazing. And then the second derby, I think Lazio ran at Ibanez once, and then he went off injured. So he was like, "No, guys, sorry, can't do it."
And I still believe that's the reason why we lost the derby. Like, if Ibanez would have stayed, I think we would have won 3-0.
Yeah, and 2 goals, 6 assists. They're not jaw-dropping numbers, but I think that the actual numbers there don't really give you a proper impression of his contribution in the attacking phase. I think he's been a lot more effective this year as an attacking wing-back, as well as obviously doing what he's always been good at and having the energy to go both ends. So.
And I still think that Inzaghi didn't utilize him a lot. I thought he could have used him much more during the matches. Instead, suddenly Lazio stopped using Lazzari and went centrally. So, I think with another manager, he could be even more dangerous.
Yeah, I mean, the question then would be, if a manager comes in who plays a back four, does Lazio play as the right back in the back four, which he's not done an awful lot. I mean, I think he can, and it's just a kind of different role, I guess, because he's got the ability to have that space a bit more and a bit more freedom to get forward in this role he's in now. So you'd have to change it around. But I still think he can adapt. And we've said that before about the Italy team, haven't we? Mancini's essentially overlooked him just for that reason.
But I think if you take Sarri, like in a 4-3-3, he can also play right winger.
I disagree with that. I've heard a lot of people saying that, but I think Lazio is much better when there's space in front of him. I don't think that Lazio would be very effective playing in a front three, because that's operating in tight spaces. It's basically trying to beat your man, and I think that his best qualities are his athleticism and his speed, and we see that at its best when he's got that right wing, that space, that highway to fly into. I'm not convinced about the idea of playing as a wing. Maybe I'm wrong.
We'll see what happens. I mean, we still have to see who's going to be Lazio's manager. So from there, a lot of things are going to change. The final poll, player of the season, we have 4 candidates as well. We have Manuel Lazzari, Milinkovic Savic, Ciro Immobile, and Adam Marusic. I think we vote the same player, right, Alistair?
Sergente.
Yep.
It has to be. And yeah, I mean, wow. I knew he'd be my pick. I knew that he'd had a very good season, but I didn't actually, given we've just talked about Lazio Marusic, the good seasons they've had, and Immobile has again scored a good amount of goals. But 79% is a huge win for Milinkovic Savic. It goes to show the season he's had.
Yeah, honestly, I was surprised. I thought, usually you vote the striker, so I thought Ciro Immobile would have won this. Instead, yeah, there hasn't been a fight at all. So that's surprising, especially because Milinkovic played in a different role this year. He played more as a defended midfielder than in the past. So it's not that you get a lot of spotlight in that position. Instead, fans still love him and rate him higher. I thought he had a terrific season, probably the best of Lazio, even because Luis Alberto didn't shine as well like he normally did. Correa missed a lot of chances. Leiva is not performing as well as before. So, yeah, I thought it would have been a fight between Ciro and Sergei. Instead, it was not a fight at all.
No, yeah, I mean, I would put this up there as probably his best season last year. I mean, maybe you could say 17-18. He produced a lot more goals and assists. That was kind of his box office season.
Yep.
But I would say in terms of his consistency and his completeness as a midfielder, this year has been the year when I've just thought every time I've watched him, like, this guy he's reached another level, I think. I feel like he's honestly one of the best players on the pitch in pretty much every game he plays now. And previously, he's not always been able to take games by the scruff of the neck in that way. I'm not so sure about what you said about his role changing. I don't feel like his role has really changed an awful lot. I just feel like his understanding of it has improved and his ability to be effective in both sides of the pitch has got better. And he's just become this leader. He's obviously taken the captain's armband a few times this season. He's been brilliant, really, really brilliant. And again, I think that the fact that a new manager is coming in could improve our chances of keeping him, because I've said already that with Inzaghi leaving, it felt a bit like momentum has gone out of the Lazio project a bit. But if a coach like Sarri comes in again, the idea of Milinkovic-Savic playing Sarri ball is a nice one.
Yeah, so, the problem is if Sarri doesn't come, that's.
What, you're saying he doesn't want to play Fabio Liverani ball?
Oh my.
We'll get onto that, but yeah, I mean, I think that the chances of us keeping him after a season like this in normal times would have been quite slim, because I feel like if all the big clubs still had all their money, he would have been right at the top of the list of names for sure, and he would have tested. They probably would have tested Lotito's resolve, and also perhaps tested Milinkovic-Savic's resolve, because let's not forget what he's been brilliant for so far is why we all love him so much is he's never tried to leave because he loves playing for Lazio. But with the coronavirus pandemic and the impact that's having on everyone's finances, I just don't see how anyone's going to afford a move for him. And I don't think Lotito's going to be particularly swayed by swap deals or like staggered payments over 5 years, or however any team tries to do it. I don't know. I'm not. I mean, it's like, it just always makes me think of that Twitter account. Have Lazio sold Milinkovic yet? And every day they just say no. And it's been running for 5 years now. I still love it. Love seeing it. But, so we'll see. But I do feel a bit more confident than I have done in previous years about them staying on for another year.
Well, we're gonna see what happens. Transfer market is madness. I would be surprised, really surprised, if Lazio sell Luis Alberto Milinkovic-Savic to Inter, knowing Lotito. But who knows, Alistair?
What did you think of Serie A's awards giving midfielder of the season to Nicola Barella? Did you think that's probably influenced by the fact that he's in the title-winning team? Maybe. I don't think Barella has been as consistently good as Milinkovic.
Definitely not. Yeah, I totally agree. And top striker to Ronaldo as well, with Lukaku there, doesn't make sense at all, right?
I mean, at least they gave Lukaku best overall player. I mean,
which doesn't make sense.
They can't give him both. I think they've done that before, though, with Dybala, didn't they? Dybala didn't win best forward, but he won best player last season. So I think every year that it's part of the contract probably with Ronaldo is that he has to win a league award every year. So yeah. I mean, he was top scorer, so yeah, there is an argument to be made. But yeah.
Yep, Alistair, I think we can wrap it up here. There's going to be another episode to talk about transfer market, who's going to be new Lazio manager. So we're going to be back next week and talk about all these things. But thanks everybody for listening. Thanks for your votes, obviously. And keep listening to our podcast on Spreaker, iTunes, Spotify, and on our YouTube channel. Thanks, Alistair.
Thank you very much. See you next season.